Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm asking that as you come on to go ahead and say hello to us and let us know that you're here, and go ahead and start sharing the broadcast with us. I am going to disappear just for a moment to give you an opportunity to comment and say hello and to share the broadcast with us. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Hello, Pamela. Thank you for being here with us tonight. As you all join in, we're going to ask that you take a moment to let us know that you're here. I'm getting messages. I see that you're here. And we also want you to please share. So if you would take the time to do that, that would be great. I am here and we're going to get started. I am just trying to respond to some people. If you registered, then the link, well, if you registered and you can't find it, you can't hear me. But hopefully for those of you, if other people say anything, if you registered, then the registration paper that came, the registration email that came, it told you to join us on my personal, not my personal, my Facebook business page. And that's where we are at this moment. So when you share this, hopefully people will be able to see it and we can go ahead and get started tonight. What I'm going to do, okay, I see you all, let's see. All right. Okay. And my guests are here, and I'm so happy that they're in the house. And guests, I hope that you have taken the time to go ahead and share the broadcast. And again, I welcome you tonight to the Still Here Virtual Summit. Tonight, our focus is a nurse's point of view, and we have some amazing, brilliant, talented nurses with us Tonight, they will share their stories, their personal, their professional stories. They will offer some tips to us as we are in a position in place as our governor here in New Jersey is reopening our state, and just they want to share some things with you to keep in mind so that you can remain safe. And then after we start doing that, we're just going to take a moment to talk a little bit about the different the racial injustices that are going on in this country, and just hoping that we can share something tonight that will empower you, inspire you, and encourage you, and remind you that your voice counts and that your voice matters. So we are going to go ahead and get started. What I want to do, because I am having so many people who are saying they don't say, I am going to send out an email to everyone who registered, just a moment, and I am going to let them know that where we are, just so that we can go ahead and get started. I'm gonna put this back up, and I promise you I'll be right back. All right, so now we can get this party started. What I did, so for those of you guests, if people are telling you they don't know where to go, I just sent out another email in Eventbrite, giving them the link to my Facebook business page where we are right now. So we are going to go ahead and get this party started. Grateful that each of you are here tonight. And the thing that I so love about Facebook and is that if you miss any of this, you can go back and watch the replay. So we welcome those of you who are watching the replay tonight. We thank you for joining us. We're sorry you couldn't be here live with us, but listening to the replay is just like being live with us. So we're excited that you are here. And we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Again, this is the Still Here Virtual Summit, and we are here tonight to talk with some nurses and to get a nurse's point of view regarding everything that is happening in this world today. And we know that it's going to be amazing. We know that they are going to offer some insight and some different things that are that will help you as we go forward today. So what I want to do at this time is I want to take a moment to introduce to you, bringing them up quickly. You can go back on my Facebook page, the business page. I have a post there that lists the bios of my guests, and there you can get a detailed bio concerning them and what they're doing and what they're about. So today, I want to take the opportunity to bring my guests up just to say hello briefly before we get this party started. And tonight I want to introduce to you Miss Nurse, Registered Nurse LaShawn Colvin. LaShawn, I'm going to bring you up to join me in saying hello tonight. Hello there. Hello, hello, hello. Happy to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me, Sel. Thank you so much.
Yes, and then we have Miss Nurse herself, Miss RN April Rodgers. And April,
good evening.
And then last but not least, we have the mother nurse here. Miss Thalia Thomas, she is in the house with us tonight. And I am so excited that these ladies are joining us tonight. They are amazing. They are professional. They are committed to being a nurse. And I'm so excited to share for the opportunity to allow them to share their stories with us tonight. Again, we're asking that as you join us tonight to come on in, let us know that you're here, and to go ahead and share the broadcast so others can get this great information that they are going to share tonight. So we're going to start off with we're going to start off allowing Miss LaShawn to come and formally introduce herself to you, sharing her personal story, her professional story, and offering you some great tips that will help us in this current situation. What we all know, we are all here in New Jersey, and we know that people from all over the country will see this. And we know that each state has a different quarantine situation going on. Here in New Jersey, our governor is opening things piece by piece. And in the midst of everything opening up, we have had several protests. There are several things that are taking place, and people are gathering together. Some people are gathering together consciously, paying attention to social distancing, wearing masks, and others are not. And I think that because some people have not been affected by this, they think that, it really doesn't exist. People who have been affected by it, whether you have lost loved ones, whether you have experienced whatever the case may be, you know that it has been real and this has been a life-changing situation. So our purpose in joining you today, we started this Still Here virtual summit back in March. And when we started off with my spiritual self, my business self, my mental health. We talked about my physical health and wellness, and we talked about addiction, because we know that those are all areas of our lives that are part of our lives that have been affected and have caused changes in this current pandemic. So my goal is to always bring you subjects and people who are experts in their fields, so that we can have effective conversation and provide information and resources to you that will help you make it through this, because we believe that because we are still here. You're here today. You woke up this morning. You woke up not just because there was nothing else for you to do. You woke up today because you have purpose, and because you are still here. If we can provide healthy conversations and effective conversations to help you be effective on this journey, we believe that you will excel and be everything that God has called you to be. I believe in purpose. I'm a purpose pusher. I believe that we are all here for a reason. And the fact that we woke up this morning, there's something so powerful that we have to say. So that is why we do these virtual summits. We'll be doing them even more often, bringing more voices to you. And we know that these voices that we bring will help you as you walk throughout this journey. All right, so what I'm going to do, the rest of the ladies and myself, we are going to step back for a moment, and we are going to allow Nurse LaShawn to come and to greet you and to tell you about herself. And then these ladies are going to go right back. So as soon as LaShawn finishes, then April is going to come on the scene. And when April is done, then Thalia is going to wrap it up as far as this particular segment in this conversation. So we just want you to sit back, again, share the broadcast and enjoy the information. Sit back and listen to the stories, because we know that this is going to be very impactful for you tonight. So LaShawn, the rest of us ladies, we're stepping back and we're letting you have the scene.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sel. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I'm very honored to be here tonight and to share my experiences and my story with the audience, and share my pearls of wisdom professionally and personally, and what I have experienced with the pandemic and everything that's going on. So just a little bit about me. Just so you know, I'm originally from Alabama. I graduated from the University of Alabama with a degree in chemical engineering. And I moved to New Jersey, and that's where I started working for Johnson & Johnson Consumer Products as an engineer. However, before I left college, I always had a heart for being in healthcare, going to medical school or either going to nursing school. So as I worked as an engineer for Johnson & Johnson for a little while, I actually transitioned into pharmaceutical sales because I wanted to be able to be in a medical environment while I was working in the background of pharma and science, just so I can explore which direction I wanted to go in the healthcare field, if I wanted to go to medical school, if I wanted to go to nursing school to become a nurse practitioner. So I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for about 13 years for Merck. And then I decided that it was time for me to chase the desire and the passion that I had on the inside of me to be in the healthcare field, whether it was a nurse practitioner, whether it was a doctor. So by that time, I decided that I wanted to become a nurse practitioner and go to nursing school. So I prepared myself a couple of years before I actually did go to nursing school financially. And I walked away from my corporate job and went to nursing school full time. It was not easy. It was based on faith. And I went to nursing school full time for 2 years, living on savings and, had a house and everything. And so by 2017, I graduated. I got my nursing degree. So I've been practicing ever since then. I have been worked in long-term care facilities, subacute facilities, and I've worked in the hospital or a telemetry floor, and now I'm actually moving closer into the mental health sector and more in the community outreach nursing right now. So just to give that's just a little big background about me. And as far as the pandemic, fast forward to now, working professionally in this pandemic has really been the most ultimate challenge that I've ever seen. I never, thought that coming out of nursing school that I would be a nurse in the middle of a pandemic. Just to be around patients and, seeing some patients come out of it, and then seeing a lot of patients who didn't make it is very traumatizing, and it can take a role on your mental health, on your physical. But my most experience with the pandemic mostly comes from a personal experience, which has become my personal testimony. So on April 3rd, 2020, I was diagnosed positive with COVID-19. And I'm sure it was probably because I got infected because I was taking care of COVID patients at the time. So when I got that call, it was very devastating to me. I was hoping for a different outcome. And I just want to take you through and paint this picture of how I dealt with this personally in the pandemic, because I was infected as well. So when I got the call, they basically said, Ms. Colvin, you are positive for COVID-19. And as soon as I heard that, my heart stopped. Oh, I felt like my heart stopped and just dropped. And they were talking to me and giving me all this information. But after they told me I was positive, I didn't hear anything after that. The only thing that I heard was, Ms. Colvin, do you have any other questions? And I said no. So that after I got off the phone, it was literally just like an emotional roller coaster of fear, sadness, doom. And, when you're looking at, whether social media or the news during this time, they focus so much on the people who didn't make it out of COVID versus they don't focus on people who did make it out of COVID. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, I'm going to die. And so after just thinking that, the tears started to flow. I'm praying. I'm like, God, why? Why is this happening to me? I mean, I understand I'm a nurse and I know I'm around COVID patients, but, I guess I just really didn't expect this was going to happen. I have an 88-year-old mother at home with a brother with special needs there in Alabama. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, what am I going to do now? I said, that's my family. I have to take care of them. If I'm not going to live, who's going to take care of my family? So, and just like I said, this is my story. And I am a Christian woman. So even through the tears, the Spirit spoke to me and said, listen, LaShawn, yes, you are positive with COVID. Said, but you're not on a ventilator. You're not hospitalized. You're still here. He said, but I need you to trust me because in every situation that I've had you in, it's always a purpose and a plan. So what I need you to do is change your language, meaning, I started with the woe is me, God, what am I going to do? Why is this happening to me? So when the Spirit told me to change my language, instead of saying woe is me, I said, okay, God, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do from this? How do you want me to learn from this? I have been diagnosed with a deadly disease that a lot of people haven't made it through. And so he said, just follow me and trust the process. So during that time, how did I get through this process? The next question is, now what? From a mental health perspective, as far as me taking care of myself physically, doing what I needed to do, eating right, drinking the teas, all of that, mentally, this portion was, it was more of a reflection. It was more of a time of reflection. I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of prayer and devotion, but that's the person that I am. Prayer and devotion and my relationship with Christ, that was all before COVID. But all of that came into play. And also, too, I made sure that I had community around me, because that's very important when you're going through something like this. You have to make sure you had community around you. So I had, my closest friends. I had my church praying for me, and just, a lot of my friends around me that really gathered around me to help me get through this. So that's where how I was gotten through a mental standpoint. I had to really reflect and pray and do those different things. But also from a spiritual perspective, I actually came into contact with a few other people that I know, co-workers, a neighbor 2 doors down that actually were also tested positive for COVID-19. And we would talk every day and try to help uplift each other and try to get each other through this. And it ended up, and it's still going on now that we started a prayer circle. So during our time of our little 14-day quarantine, we prayed together, we cried together, we encouraged each other. And also my neighbor down the street, and this is what I love about this story, is that, I've been here 9 years. My neighbor was not a believer. And she was tested positive for COVID-19. And, she would always talk with me and she would ask me how I'm getting through it. And eventually, I told her, I invited her onto our prayer circle calls. And even though I knew that she wasn't a believer, and fast forward to now, she was faithful on the prayer call. She would call, we would talk. And long story short, this woman has accepted Christ in her life. She has now going on to trying to, join a church and get, her relationship with the Lord on track, which was a blessing. And then in the midst of that, the Lord was telling me, said, I'm trying to show you that since I tapped you on your shoulder for this, that you're going to use this to bless others, because when you bless others like that, you're healing yourself. You're healing yourself from the inside out. And just the encouragement that I had for others who I was meeting in my path that were also positive for COVID-19 actually helped. And that was my way of helping and encouraging and serving other people who were in the same position that I was in. So fast forward, on April 26th, I got retested on the 22nd. April 26th, I got a call and said, LaShawn, you are now negative for COVID-19, as well as my other, friends who were in the prayer circle. They are now negative for COVID-19. So I guess the moral of this story and what I've went through this pandemic, like I said, was more of a spiritual experience for me, because it showed me that no matter what type of detrimental situation that you're going through, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's another type of diagnosis or another type of life event, is that trusting in God and trusting in the process, because he's very strategic, is going to bring purpose from your pain. Always. And this situation brought purpose from my pain. And it has allowed me to share my testimony with others and encourage people in whatever that they're going through. So it is so befitting that we have this Still Here virtual summit, because we are still here. I'm still here. And because, this was an assignment for me, I am here sitting here before you to encourage you on whatever journey that you're going through, is that if you're still here, you're still blessed. There is a reason for everything, and change your language in whatever you're going through, and it will definitely bring purpose from your pain. As far as any tips that I would, like to share, as far as the pandemic, and we're slowly coming out of, the pandemic. It is slowing down from what I've seen, but at the same time, we need to use wisdom and spiritual discernment as we go out here. Just because places and everything are opening up, it doesn't mean that we should go from 0 to 100, go from wearing a mask and use a sanitizer to doing nothing at all. Even though it is slowing down, we're still not out of the woods yet. I still recommend that you still wear your gloves, mask, wash your hands, and just be very careful and using wisdom when you go out, because now I'm hearing that a lot of the restaurants now are opening up, and where they're opening, like they're having outdoor dining and everything. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I would be a little eerie, a little careful about going inside now with big crowds of people, because you definitely still want to take some precautions. And just be very careful out there. Be very careful. Use spiritual, wisdom and discernment of where you're going. Still do some social distancing. And when I say social distancing, I don't mean social isolation. Always have a community around you. And even though post quarantine, as we're coming out of this, people still deal with mental health. So I would say whatever you were doing in the quarantine, whether if you were, having your Zoom events, or you were having videos with your family, your friends, being creative around the house, still do those things, because, even before COVID-19, as a Black community, we suffer a lot from mental health, but we're not educated enough, and we don't do anything about that. So I would say continue to journal, continue to do your meditations, whatever you have. So that's what I want to give to from a mental health perspective as well. So other than that, that's all what I have. Marcella, unless you want me to share any resources, or we're going to wait till the end for that. I can't hear you.
I am the famous muted. We'll do the resources later on. At this time, we're going to bring April on to take us further in our conversation tonight.
Muted too. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is April Rodgers. I have been a nurse for 25 years now. I've been in the operating room for 22 years. So most of the time when people think about nurses, people say, oh, you're a nurse, you'll always have a job. Well, when COVID hit, that was not the case for me. I'm a travel nurse, so I do contracts. My contract was due to end on March 27th, I think March 27th. And a week and a half before my contract was up, I got canceled. So when I don't work, I don't get paid. And also my company, because I'm not in New Jersey now, I'm actually in the state of Maryland. So my company finds me housing wherever I work. So I'm in Maryland. Normally when the contract ends, you have 48 hours to vacate. So, but my company was, they were gracious and they allowed me to stay until the original time I was supposed to leave. 2 days after they canceled my contract, I got a phone call from the hospital saying, you've been exposed to someone on May 11th that tested positive on May 20th. Now, the date that they called me was the 25th. So I'm like, okay. So that was 2 weeks. So they were saying, 2 weeks is normally the time frame where I guess if you don't have symptoms, then maybe you don't have it. I don't know. But I wasn't so much scared for myself, but my mom's birthday was March 16th. And I went to visit her. I started not to. They had a celebration for her. I did not attend. I tried to get them to cancel it. They didn't. Everybody in my family's fine, thank God. But she's a spoiled brat. I'm a spoiled brat. I wanted to see her. I went to see her. I did not get close to her. I didn't hug her like I always do. And I just spent the night. And so immediately after I spoke with the person that said that I was exposed, I think before I even called my mom, I think I texted my pastors and I spoke with them. Then I called my mom and I told her, how do you feel? how's your chest feel? Cough for me. Let me hear you cough for real, and I'm just going through with everything that I know, because I knew that COVID goes for your chest, it goes for your lungs. So I just wanted to make sure her lungs were clear and that they stayed clear. And I had already bought her, I had already given her like all this vitamin C to take. She's already on vitamin D. Um, trying to what is it? Just express to her that, okay, this is the time that you have to eat healthy. So I eat pretty healthy, and I drink hot tea all the time. So the different things they were telling us, I just shared with her. I uh, shared with my family. I was so as far as she was fine. So I counted all those days she had from the 16th to the 30th, and every day I called her. You okay? Let me hear you breathe. Are you coughing? Are you sneezing? So, but thank God she's fine, and she lives by herself now, and she's been not letting anyone in. I think I scared her like more than a little bit, but she's been practicing social distancing, which I'm grateful for. So that's not a concern for me, because I know a lot of people with their parents, they're constantly saying, my mom won't stay in the house, but I'm not having that problem with her, which I thank God for. So as far as my contract ending, so my contract ended, and I was supposed to start a new contract on April 6th, on Monday, April 6th. On Friday, April 3rd, I am packing my apartment up to move to my next apartment, because my job is starting on April 6th, and they have not told us that, you know, anything different than I was going to start. I'm packing. I get a phone call from my recruiter. April, the hospital just called. They said they're not doing any surgeries. So not only did I get sent, my first contract get canceled, now this contract is not starting. So in this time, so I was out of work for 5 weeks. But I thank God for that time, because he let me know that he was covering me while everything was just so new and no one knew what to do. We didn't know if it was airborne. We didn't know if it was droplets. We didn't know. So we didn't know, oh, if you travel, initially they were talking about, oh, well, if you travel to certain countries, but that wasn't the case because it was worldwide. So, but I thank him for the time, the alone time with him. So I stayed in. I did not need one thing. I went without nothing. I had actually more than enough. The people that was running out trying to get toiletries and Lysol and all that kind of stuff, I already had it. I always tell people I was a Girl Scout, so I'm prepared. So I had everything that I needed in that time. And so once I did start work, I started April 21st. Well, I'm an OR nurse. I've been in the OR since 1998. They said, okay, well, you can come and work, but you're going to go work in ICU and med surg. Totally different than what I do. My patients are asleep. So I get to work, and I worked at this hospital before. So as soon as I saw the educator, she assured me, she said, April, we're keeping everybody in the OR. We're trying to keep you in the OR. You might have to go upstairs, but you might not. So during this time, it's definitely been different. I had to go up to, so I did deal with COVID patients. There were times where they called us the prone champs. I don't know if any of you know that the best thing for a patient or a person with COVID is to lay on their belly, lay on your stomach, because what happens is our bodies already have mucus in it. But what happens is when you lay on your back and COVID attacks your lungs are in your back. So it just gets there, and it just makes it like 10 times worse than what it would be if if you had just like, I guess, a regular respiratory problem. So in order to relieve that, they lay people on their bellies. So Different days they would have a team of us, and they called us the prone champs, and we would go up to ICU. We would have to put the whole garb on, the goggles, the N95 mask, the shield. We would cover our scrubs with the isolation gowns, cover our shoes, wear 2 pairs of gloves, and we would go from ICU room to room to room. And if they were on their bellies, we would flip them over to their backs. If they were on their backs, we would flip them over to their bellies. And this happened twice a day with, I think, maybe 8 hours, 8 out of the 24 hours, the patients would remain on their backs, but the 16 hours they would lay on their stomach unless there was an issue where they had to hurry and turn them over. But I just want you guys to know that COVID is not over. It's not nearly over. I found out earlier today that a good friend of mine is in a hospital now with COVID. Social distancing. I know the sun is out. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. The sun is out. It's warm out. It's not the flu. It's not like a season. It's not a seasonal thing. It's out there. It's going to be out there for a while. So if you're going to go out and if you're going to have fun and you're going out with your friends and your family, fine. Get as many masks as you want. Get some cute ones to match your clothes. Get some cute ones to match your bathing suits. But wear your mask and social distance 6 feet away, at least 6 feet away. Because even, say you have a mask on. Say you have a mask on. Just happen to have one here. Okay, say you have this mask on. If you're sitting and talking with someone and you're laughing, and if they don't have their mask on, and even if they do, because you have holes, you have all this here, stuff can still, come out a little bit. But if someone does not have a mask on, not only does it, go through your nose and your mouth, your eyes, okay? Wear your shades, wear your sunglasses, your glasses, and just try, because that's another way that you can get COVID, okay? So I also, when I come in a house, I have a box by my door. Like some people tell you, oh, leave your stuff on the porch. I don't have a porch. I live in an apartment. I have a box. When I come in every day, now I wear scrubs at work. I've been working in the OR forever. So I wear just regular clothes to work. When I come home, I take them off. I normally dress in layers. I'll have a tank top and maybe some bike shorts or something under. So I take off my top layer. I put it in a box. I take off my socks. I leave my shoes right there. I have my house shoes very close by, and I go straight to the bathroom. I take a shower. I take my shower. And if you're not going to do that, I'm not telling you to be like me, because I was a germaphobe before COVID. But when you come in the house, everybody is telling everybody, wash your hands, wash your hands. Definitely wash your hands, but wash your face. Wash whatever skin is exposed. Wash your face, your ears, your neck. Like this here, my necklace, everybody knows I've had this necklace forever. These earrings, I wear them forever. This is the first day I put them on since COVID, because, I'm crazy. But you have to wash these things, because if you do walk through someone's sneeze not knowing that you did it, it's on there. It is. Whether you believe it or not, it's on there. Please, when you come in a house, don't walk through your house nor anyone else's house with your shoes on. Because again, before COVID, there were plenty of germs out there. Since COVID, there's plenty of germs out there, plus COVID. So, just be careful. Think about you and your health. Think about your family, your friends, and just think about that person that's next to you, whether you know them or not. So if you have a mask on, your mask is really kind of saving you from yourself. I know you've probably heard that before, like, because we touch our face a lot. So it's saving you, but it's not really saving that person in front of you, because it's not an N95. If you have an N95, no air is coming in and no air is getting out. But No one wants to wear an N95. Believe me, you don't want to wear it. I wear them 10 hours a day sometimes, depending on which unit I'm working. So if I have a COVID patient, I have N95 on. By the time I take it off at the end of the day, I have marks. It looks like I've been in battle all over my face. So please, 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 if you don't care about not a soul in the world, care about yourself and do what it is. Do what you need to do to stay safe. I know it's so much I want to say, but I know I don't have the time. But again, be safe. Love you guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Thalia Thomas, and I have been working for 18 years as a nurse. My background comes from the intensive care, critical care experience for 15 years, and for the last 3 years, I've been working as a case manager. So when COVID happened, because I work at a university teaching hospital, trauma center here in central New Jersey, we were expecting to have the surge of patients. Since we have high acuity patients at our location, our hospital was trying to be proactive in making sure that we were ready for these patients. So as a nurse case manager, I was not a frontline worker. It was not until I got the call, because of my critical care background, that I needed to assist and work as an ICU nurse. And that was very scary because I haven't worked with ICU patients in 3 years. So with my own experience, I was already having fear because remember, COVID-19 is novel, which means it's new, which means we're learning every day about the virus. So when you know that there's a new virus that there's not much information on, it makes you fearful, it makes you scared. And for those of us who have worked the front lines and still are working the front lines, we are still challenged every day on learning on what the virus is teaching us and how we best can treat the patients. So April 6th, I took a 4-hour course, crash course, to try to get myself up to speed to taking care of these really sick, dying patients that are on the ventilators. I took the course and right away I had to start my first shift. Emotionally, I wasn't prepared. Physically, I wasn't prepared. Spiritually, I was prepared because I had to say to myself and not be selfish, saying, why am I here? More so saying, what can I do to be with my patients? You have to remember, as all of you guys know, visitors are still not allowed in the hospital. So truly, the core and care of these patients that are alone in the hospital during this time, and still during this time, is the nurses, the doctors, the techs, our wonderful environmental services staff, and everyone else of the support staff during this time. So I'm back in the ICU, and I'm having a hard time coming to grips of having to take care of these patients because I don't feel confident in my skills because it's been 3 years. I don't feel like I'm doing the thing. I feel like I'm lost and not doing things right. The wonderful thing is that, as April shared with you, a lot of services have closed. So no surgeries, right? So we have our operating room nurses that are working as buddy nurses. No catheterizations. We have our cath lab nurses working as buddy nurses. So any ambulatory area that had nurses, they were pulled into this labor pool, as what my hospital called it. So anyone that can be available to help with the crisis, with the pandemic, all hands were on deck. So my bird's eye view of these patients that I was taking care of in the ICU, it was hard. It was hard because one thing about this virus that we all can relate to is the isolation. The isolation at home and the isolation in the hospital. I'm 12 hours plus with these patients, and it's scary for them to see someone wearing a face shield, wearing a bonnet, wearing an N95, wearing a surgical mask, wearing an isolation gown, wearing 2 pairs of gloves. So from head to toe, it's scary. And remember, these patients know that they're sick, but they're not always conscious of what's happened to them. And it's my responsibility in taking care of them to first thing first, treat them as a person and let them know that they're going to be okay. And let them know what we're doing and allow them to understand what has happened to them. When you lose your breath and when you can't breathe because there's a breathing tube, that is so scary to have lost the ability to speak, especially when you're not conscious, you don't know where you are, and you don't see your family around you. And even now, during this time, it's still hard because people can't see their mother, they can't see their daughter, they can't see their son, their uncle. It's still very hard now for these patients who are still there in the hospital. Now, during this time that I was called to go back and be a frontline nurse, I had my own personal turmoil going through in my own life. My mom and dad, who I'm very close with and I take care of, I was isolating myself from them, and they understood why. I was very transparent and letting them know that I'm going from working Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, having to shift my whole life, because this is a life shift. It's a life change for me to go from what I was doing, staying in my office, helping get patients home with any discharge needs and setting them up for a visiting nurse or any medical equipment, to now work 12 hours, 3 days a week. That's a life change because it's a change of mindset, it's a change of schedule, and also it changed how I was living my life. My mom ended up getting hospitalized Resurrection Sunday. So Easter Sunday, I haven't seen my parents in weeks. I would see them virtually. If my sister was over there, she'd put them on and I would see them virtually or talk to them every day, but they knew I couldn't be around them because I did not want to risk their health while I was trying to save lives. And my mom, unfortunately, was hospitalized, and she was in the hospital with health issues, and she was really sick. She was very, very sick. So mind you about my moral distress is what we nurses call it, dealing with my own moral distress, being called back to serve and to be a frontline person for these patients, but now having the moral distress of having my mom be in the hospital. I guess the benefit is that God knew that my mom was going to be in the hospital because I was able to be there with her, right? So I was able to be there for my mom and be there for the other patients I was taking care of as their daughter, right? So dealing with that was very stressful for me. In addition, seeing the patients that I'm taking care of, one day they're doing good and the next day they're not doing so good. And to have the conversations with the daughter, with the son, with the spouse, that your mom, your dad, your brother is not doing so well, it's hard. Because how can I convey to them that I'm doing everything I can? And how can they understand that when they walked into the hospital to receive our help, that they wouldn't be going home? How do you relay that to anybody? How do you relay that to the family? Especially when you had a patient who is awake, they're alert, and they're still able to communicate with their loved ones at home. And then all of a sudden you get a call from us that your mom is not doing well. Her heart rate is slowing down. We're having a hard time maintaining her blood pressure. And we need to start to have a conversation about end of life. It's hard. It's very hard. And we're still having those discussions right now. So I remind you, COVID is not over, okay? We are now living with a new virus and learning about it. This virus is here and it still will be here because it's part of the fabric of our lives now, just like every other virus that we learn about. One thing I have to say is during my time as a frontline worker, the camaraderie of all the nurses and doctors and all the staff, our whole job was just to make sure that our patients were okay, to sacrifice the sleep, the eating, to go long hours without taking a break and without pain. It's nothing for us to brag about, but to see how sick these patients are, it takes a physical and moral distress for us to manage for our own selves. So between my mom being hospitalized and between me taking care of these patients, I made sure that my faith was always number one, because I don't know if any time that I'm taking care of a patient that I could be exposed. And do you know that God was protecting me with angels? Who are the angels? My colleagues. There was one time I was in the ICU where I was just so distressed about my mom being in the hospital and overwhelmed with work that I actually forgot to put on my PPE, okay? And what I mean by PPE, I'm talking about my goggles and my face shield, because my double masks are always on, because my mind is racing about other things that I'm thinking about. And having those people to pull you back saying, hey, let's do a check, Thalia. You got your face shield on, you got your goggles on, you got your N95, you got your surgical mask, you got your gown, you're good. And that was a domino effect, because I was also protecting the residents that were going in too. They were forgetting sometimes, because we just want to rush in and take care of the patient, that they forgot to put on their PPE. And sometimes that happens when we're trying to save lives. We forget ourselves to save someone else's life, correct? Right? So during this time that I'm in the ICU, I had a colleague have COVID. And she was intubated, meaning that she was put on mechanical ventilation for about 2 weeks. And as God would have it, she's a miracle, you know? She survived, and her recovery has been a long course. So I want to tell you guys that we do have great stories. I have one story to share with you. I was taking care of a patient. I think he was one of the earlier patients that had COVID. He was about 50 years old, African American, because we are hearing that minorities, especially the African American population, are having the highest incidence of COVID. He was one of the first original patients to come into the hospital with this diagnosis. And remember, COVID is a novel virus, which means we didn't really know how to treat it. And everything that we were trying to do was on the fly, okay? Some things worked, some things didn't work. And every day, every week, we were trying new cocktails of medication combinations to see what the outcomes were. Well, this man, he was a miracle. He was a miracle. We were FaceTiming his wife, and I was lucky enough to be in the presence of their reunion, because it was a reunion. She wasn't able to come and see him, and every time she called, it was based on what we saw going on. And can you imagine, you're calling in asking about your husband, and we're telling you only bad things. We're not telling you anything good. 30 days it took before he got extubated, which means the breathing tube came out, and he was able to talk to his wife. And I was a witness to that. And I've been a witness to a lot of miracles, but I've also been a witness to a lot of death. And that's the price that we are seeing right now with us reopening back up, because the risk is still imminent and the risk is still there. A lot of nurses I know that have gotten the virus have gotten it just simply by routine activities. For example, going to the supermarket. It's possible prior to the restrictions that we have now, when we were open back in March, when things were more lenient and we were still learning this, someone got the virus. your children. Earlier on, a girlfriend of mine believes that she got COVID from her kids because she had the kids go play at a neighbor's house and they probably picked it up and brought it into the home. Your home is your sanctuary, it's your safety net. Protect your home and protect yourself. The good news is that the cases are down, and that's a great thing because that means things are getting better. But I want to remind you, COVID is here and it's here to stay. My belief, and this is just my opinion, just like every virus we have out here, it doesn't just dramatically leave. It's part of the fabric. And viruses take on and mutate to adapt to the environment. After working 5 weeks as a COVID ICU nurse, I myself was not feeling well. I always had the habit of checking my temperature. So since March, I've been checking my temperature every day because I want to know what my baseline temperature is. And then working in the ICU, I always wanted to ensure that I was healthy. So my best tip, sleep. Your body needs sleep to do what? Turn off its mind and repair the muscles and the building blocks in your immunity. We forget about something that is free and that we all need besides a healthy diet, sleep. So that's what I encourage all of you. You guys need sleep. Because I was checking my temperature routinely, I was starting not to feel well and my symptoms were very vague. It was just like, I don't know, something's wrong, but I don't know what's wrong with me, right? And I didn't feel like I had a fever, but because I knew what my baseline body temperature was, I ended up having a temperature. And that kind of made me concerned that, okay, was my high exposure to these patients caused me to have coronavirus? It's possible. But then I was having a general malaise. I was feeling lethargic. I was tired. I was achy. I was having headaches. My appetite, I didn't have one. And just like all of us, we get ourselves crazy thinking we have it, we don't have it, I don't know what's wrong. So I reached out to my primary, had a virtual visit, and she was honest. She says, Thalia, just get tested. And I did. And getting tested was scary, but I was negative. And the opportunity to be part of a research study with Rutgers University allowed me to get a second confirmation to determine if the virus was still active in my body, and it wasn't. So I had a second negative COVID test and no presence of antibodies at this point. So even those things are reassurance. Sometimes even for myself, I'm not 100% confident because I know I was sick and I know I had something. Maybe the susceptibility of the virus just wasn't picked up in the test. And it's possible, right? Because we've had a lot of false positives, false negatives. Now, going back to my mom, she was discharged about 10 days later and she went to rehab. And her rehab visit was compromised because she ended up a week later having a fever. And my first instinct was, you guys need to test her for COVID. And unfortunately, the presence of COVID is there. So even during the time that she was hospitalized and we were testing her for COVID, it never showed up. It showed up after she left the hospital. And remember, these symptoms are latent and they can show up later. We know that the incubation period could be 2 to 14 days. So even if you take a test, that test is only telling you the result of that day. Anyway, my mom finally was discharged home last Saturday, so I'm very thankful for that. I am now back in my own department, managing patients and helping them transition from being in the hospital to home. The hospital's still busy and we still have COVID patients, okay? We're not down to zero. There's patients that are still connected to ventilators. There are still patients that are needing dialysis because their kidneys have failed. And we are seeing patients that have gone through a lot of system organ failure, meaning their heart is failing, their lungs have failed, and now their kidneys are failing. We've seen patients from the very young to the very old. Even a colleague of mine, only 30 years old, he posted on his social media to let people know at age 30, he got diagnosed with COVID and he also had a stroke. And he's Caucasian. So this is to let you know that COVID comes in many faces, ages, health histories. And COVID is here. And with us reopening, I understand the desires you want to get out. And that's great. That's great for your mental health. I never was a fan of the term socially distancing. I always call it a physical distance, because when you say physical, that makes it more conscious, saying, wait, I need to physically distance myself from someone. Sometimes the language makes you more conscious about what you need to do and how to protect yourself. Because by physically distancing yourself, you're also caring about other people. You're caring about your community. So it's not so much of a restriction. It's more about saying, I love myself and I love my community and I don't want anyone to get sick. Because all of us are tired of hearing the numbers every day. Tips I have: make sure you check on your friends, because we are not okay. I'm not okay. I didn't have the luxury to be at home. My life has changed since this, and every day I'm still coping with things that are going on. So we are not okay. So please check on your friends, because a lot of us need to be checked on. I've been very fortunate where people have come and reached out to me for tips. A girlfriend of mine who's an educator, she's been in her house since March. She reached out to me because her anxiety has hit a level that she was confined to her home and she didn't know how to get out of her home. Her son is 13 and was saying, Mom, we need to go outside, but she's so scared. And I said to her, I know that you're scared, and that's okay to be scared. Because what does fear do for us? It makes us be more conscious and aware. And it allows yourself to know that even that the fear is there, it's okay, but you have to still go on and face the fear. So I encouraged her. And I said, just go out for a walk. Just go and get the sun on your face. Physically distance yourself, because being outside is helpful, even if it's just for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I've had people tell me, because they were quarantined in the house for so long, the first time that they drove out on the road, they forgot how to drive. They got anxious and nervous because being out in the community has made them scared. It's made them forget the simple things, the routine things. Other tips I have: stay hydrated. Okay, we are now going into the summer months where the humidity in New Jersey is high, the heat is high. Please stay hydrated. Please make sure you're drinking, making sure that you're drinking your water, making sure that you're sleeping, taking your vitamins, the vitamin C, the vitamin D, and even a multivitamin. For anyone who's anemic, get that iron tablet in. And actually also exercise. You have to sweat out sometimes a lot of these toxins that we have inside our body. And even for me, I tease about the quarantine 15 because I've gained a lot of weight because of the stressors that have presented in my life over the last 3 months. So even for myself, I've been able and starting to go out and venture just to move, just to exercise, just to walk, because that's good for us. But I'm also physically distancing, and I'm making sure that I am able to function. And the walking helps me. It gives me some mental clarity, and it allows me to be around nature and the fresh air. So go for a walk, even if it's for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, especially for those who've been home. It's good to reacclimate yourself to get outside. I'll just end this with a thought to say, make sure that you're just taking care of yourself, making sure that you're checking on other people, because as a community, we need to vocalize our fears. Because regardless if you think some of us who are strong out here, we're not okay. Thank you, everyone.
That was awesome.
Awesome.
That's right.
We can't hear you, Sal.
The host always muting themselves. I'm so sorry. There were so many valuable things that were said here tonight. The tips were amazing. Your stories were amazing. But one thing, because I am who I am and what I sense and what I know, I hear your heart. I hear the weight that has been on you. I hear um, the different things that you all have experienced and what I want to do. And I have not done this since I've been doing this platform because this is an open platform while it is still ministry. It is not on my ministry page. But I just want to take a moment to pray for not only you all, but for all of the essential care nurses and doctors who have experienced the different things that you all have shared here tonight. And when you said, Thalia, um, one of the tips you gave, you say check on your friends because we're not okay. And I think that that is across the board. And because you all are doing this frontline thing along with so many other people who are out here doing this frontline things, sometimes people just assume that you have this cape on that says Superwoman and that you were not affected by any of this. So I just want to take a moment to pray. And in my prayer, I'm going to ask God to pour back into you just everything that you shared with us tonight. But I'm going to ask him to strengthen you, to empower you, to just give you a sense of hope that will allow that joy that dwells on the inside of you to be ignited and activated in a way so that you all can just gain the strength for the journey that you have ahead of you. Because while we know that it appears that this whole COVID thing is going down, but the mental impact that it has had on people like you and other people who are dealing with this, the mental impact that it has had on people who have been indoors. And I love when you said physical distancing, because words are power and word is everything. I think that if we would have taken on that and adopted that term physical distancing over social distancing, we would have done a better job of staying connected, and the isolation would have not been so severe because the focus would have been on not gathering together physically so that we can stay healthy. When we hear the term social distancing, because we are social beings, we were created to engage, we were created to be with each other and to talk to each other. It probably would have encouraged us to take advantage of all of the technology and the social media and different things that we have at our hands. But because people have been so fearful of it, it was something that eventually people caught on. So I just thank you all for sharing your stories tonight. But I believe that you are here tonight not only to get out to those who are listening to us, but so that God can pour into you, because you release what you release. That's a healing process for you. And I believe that God is going to pour into you in an amazing way. And if you are on here tonight, I want you, and you have been an essential worker, I want you to put that in. If you're a nurse, you're a firefighter, you're a doctor, you're an EMT worker, you're a grocery store, whatever you are, and you've been on the front line, I want to pray for you as well. And if you have been in and you said, I'm not an essential worker, but I'm feeling overwhelmed because of what I see, I want you to raise your hand and say here tonight too, because I know that God is going to touch all of us. So let's just pray real quick. Father, we just thank you for this day that you have made, and as your sons and daughters, we shall rejoice and be glad in it. God, I thank you for your daughters who are on this live with me tonight. I thank you for LaShawn. I thank you for April. I thank you for Thalia. And I thank you for everything that you have brought them through during this COVID-19 journey. God, you are so amazing because just like they said, they've seen so much during this time. They've seen the hurt, they've seen the pain, they've experienced the hurt, they've experienced the pain, and they've also seen the joys. God, I am asking that you would allow the joys to overtake the hurt and the pain, and that you will continue to deal with them and bless them in a way that it will cause your strength to be manifested through them this day in the name of Jesus. I thank you for every life that they have touched, every person they have helped. God, I thank you for the family members that they have become a part of. I just pray that you will continue to bless them in an awesome way. And when they say check on us because we are not all right, I'm asking you, God, to wrap your loving arms around them, to encourage them, to strengthen them, to empower them, to motivate them, to ignite them, and to remind them that they are loved by you. I thank you for added strength being released upon them this day. And I thank you for your healing power and your healing virtue overtaking them from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet. I thank you for joy unspeakable that is full of glory resting upon them this way and this day in the name of Jesus. God, we thank you. We thank you for their lives, and we thank you because they are special. We thank you because you prepared and anointed them for such a time as this. And as they have made their way through this process, we know that there are greater challenges to come, but we thank you for giving them the wherewithal. We thank you for giving them the spirit of endurance. We thank you for giving them the courage and the power to be able to walk through whatever comes their way this day. I thank you for their hearts, and I thank you that they are whole. And God, not only them, but we pray for everyone who is under the sound of my voice, joining this and listening to this, God, who may have experienced the same feelings. This is the night where we check on them. This is the night that we let them know that we love them. This is the night that we tell them that they matter and their work has not been in vain. This is the night that they are reminded that you love them unconditionally. So we thank you so very much, God, for just everything that you're doing in them, with them, and through them. And we thank you, God, because we say that by your grace and because you have appointed them for this, this is the purpose that you've ordained for them, that they are the real MVPs in this earth, and that you're continuing to bless them in an awesome way. So we thank you for their lives today, and we thank you for everyone that they represent. We pray for their mothers. We pray for their parents. We pray, God, that you would just continue to keep them strong and bless them in an awesome way. We thank you that nothing shall be lost, but they shall gain greater for everything, the sacrifices that they have made in this time and during this season, that you will bless them abundantly and above all that they can ask or think, according to your power that worketh on the inside of them. I speak life to LaShawn. I speak life to Thalia. I speak life to April. I speak your great abundance upon their lives this day in the name of Jesus. And we just praise you for everything, God. And I know that you're doing something so awesome on the inside of them, and that they are blessed, God. They are blessed. And we thank you for the blessings of God that maketh rich and addeth no sorrow to it, being upon their lives in every way this day. We pray this prayer, thanking you in advance and saying thank you for hearing our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. So we thank you all for, I mean, you have just been a blessing. These stories, the things that you shared and that you've been through, the insight, the wisdom, they have been so amazing. And we thank you all for just making time tonight to share yourself, your life, and your stories with us tonight. That was so amazing. So amazing, so amazing, so amazing. And I know that your mom, that your parents are so very godly proud of you because you're standing in that which you have been purposed and ordained to do. Special as you all may be. April know what I'm talking about. You guys are so amazing, and I love you. And I'm so grateful that you said yes tonight because you gave such valuable information and you reminded us of so much. So we're grateful. So one thing that I want to do quickly, let's see, what's on? Yeah, I want to do this, and I want to have a conversation about the racial injustice and the different things that are taking in place in our world today. We talked about the pandemic, and it has been life changing for all of us. and so is the manifestation of everything that's happened with this in this with racism and everything. And we know we are all women of color. We know that it's been there from the beginning of time, but now it's being manifested. And because it's manifested, we shifted from being in and isolated to protests all over the country. And I just want to hear your thoughts really quick regarding what is happening as far as the racial injustices, and what you would say if you were there in the protest and the organizer gave you a mic and you were standing there and amongst all of these people, what would you say to them so that they could stay healthy and still allow their voices to be heard? And I want you to also share what's on your heart concerning this. And April, we'll let you go first, sweetheart.
Oh my, I told my sister, I said, now I could do the health part.
Mm-hmm.
The racial injustice part, I'm such a power to the people person that I'm afraid I might say the wrong thing and get in trouble. But we need to be out there. But like I couldn't go out. I would have loved to been out in any of the protests. But my life and other people's lives right now, just as far as we definitely need to make our voices heard. We got to start doing other things also. So there are going to be people that's going to go out there and protest, and I'm not knocking for it. I'm definitely not knocking for it. If you're going to go out, please wear a mask. And if you can spread out, spread out. You don't have to be right next to the person. Y'all all out there, just do like this.
Exactly.
And just be have your distance. But and also we have done a lot of people say put your money where your mouth is and all of that. My thing is we got to buy black buy black. There are many, and if we have businesses, we need to come correct so people are willing to do that. But as far as also even still, because I've been wanting to be a nurse since I was 5 years old, so health is my thing. But even like the inequalities in the healthcare system, demand the best. When you go to the doctor and they don't want to spend too much time with you, or they tell you something but then you don't understand it and you ask them to explain, and if you still don't understand it, you ask them again. Tell them, look, I don't understand it. And if your provider is not open to really just showing you and caring for you the way you need to be cared for, they are not the only nurse practitioner. They are not the only doctor. There are millions of doctors in this world. And if you have a problem with any of them, call me. I know more than they do anyway. But no, really, we do. I mean, it's out there. It's been out there, and like I said, I probably shouldn't say too much.
Okay. No, but that's good. That was good. Thalia?
Yes. So my thoughts, like April, people who know me know that I got a mouth and I'm not afraid to use it. One of the things I always do is I listen, because we talk about hearing people, but communication also is about listening. Are you being an active listener besides hearing what's being said? Now, with the racial injustices, my thoughts are I want people to go out and I want them to use their voice, because your voice is your voice. No one can speak up for you. No one has your story, and you have your voice that can educate someone who does not live in the same skin as you to know your story. I'm always the only Black person in the room. When I started as a nurse, I was only Black nurse. And many times, even during COVID-19, when I was working in the ICU, guess what? I'm still the only Black nurse. So injustices are happening systemically across healthcare, job opportunities, economics. Race is the face, but we have a continuum of things that brings a platform, correct? Platforms come in many different ways. Marcella, this is a platform. You're gathering groups of people. And I made sure when I invited people to know about this, I invited people from every race because we are the human race, okay? Because racial injustice is everyone's problem.
Right.
Okay? They need to take ownership. Everyone needs to, because everyone is part of the problem. It's not a Black problem. I see this as a civil rights and a human rights issue. As a nurse, all of us nurses know, what do? We advocate for our patients. I'm sure LaShawn, April, I'm sure you've been told by a patient, I want a different kind of nurse. Or you've been told, are you my tech? Are you the nursing assistant?
You going to be in the room with me?
Exactly. And
that has happened.
And then, you, as we do, we're always very professional, as I always am. So we know racial injustice comes anywhere. It can blindside you. I agree with April. Health is important. Health is number one, okay? Because we only have one body. And your health, the only way you can protect your health is to protect yourself. And like I said about physically distancing, when you do that, you're also saying, I care about myself, but I care about my neighbor and I care about my community. And that's actually showing love. Because love is an action, right? So physically distancing and voicing the injustices can be done together. I've actually had a lot of my colleagues go out. Black nurses have gone out to protest, to advocate, to have their signage, because we're here. I've been reading about a lot of the economic stuff that's going on. Like today, I was just seeing that, I guess, Aunt Jemima, they're changing their packaging and they're going to change. So that's a movement, right? I grew up with Rodney King. So that means if that happened around, I looked it up, it was March 3rd, 1991. That means I was only in 7th grade. I was the generation supposed to be moving things forward. And things haven't really changed. I talked to my niece who just turned 24 yesterday to see what conversation she's having with her peers. Because it's along the gamut of all age groups. And we have to be respectful of listening to everybody's experience to see how they view things, right? And that's my belief. But I want to make sure that people are being responsible when they're protesting, because it is a responsibility, right? It's a responsibility because it's a call to action. And with that responsibility, we have to be mindful that we want to be safe in voicing and acting on the injustices that are happening.
No, that was good. That was good. LaShawn?
So basically, both of these beautiful, intelligent young nurses have basically wrapped up everything that I was actually going to say too. And this is so funny because nurses' minds, we think alike. So as far as the racial injustice and the protesting and everything, I have to admit, yes, I have been in a couple of protests myself. And before I went out, it was, I had not a struggle in my mind because I knew that I needed to be out there and that my voice needed to be heard. But then when you're in the middle of a pandemic, I had to ask myself, how am I going to do this? So just like April was saying, of course I had on my mask, and thank goodness the protests that I've been in, about 100% of everybody had on a mask, which was great. But, you know, when it comes to like what the physical distancing, this is what I'm going to call it now, Thalia. Thank you so much. Physical distancing. I did find myself, I was very vigilant in where I was in the protesting, whether it was the marching or whether it was just standing by. I made sure I had distance around me, and as I was walking in the protest. And if I felt like people were starting to come in a little bit to my space, I would make my way out to the side of the crowd or make my way like to the back of the crowd. I mean, and don't get me wrong, this is not easy because, you know, when your adrenaline is going and you're excited and you're protesting everything, you know, it's easy to kind of get caught up and not pay attention to what you're doing. So, so that's what I did as far as, you know, the protest, because I want my voice to be heard, but at the same time, I wanted to be safe, not only for myself, but for others as well. And also I wanted to, you know, just piggyback to what April was saying, but let me rewind. I also wanted to say, if you do want to go out to the protests or the rallies and you feel uncomfortable with the social distancing and with the big crowd, they have rallies to where if you just want to stand and listen and just kind of get a way to get involved, you know, you can have your own space that way too. That way you can still stay safe. So there are ways that you can still stay safe in case, you know, you do want to protest and you want to go out to these rallies, which is fine. What I also want to say is that we also have a responsibility in the Black community to be an advocate for each other. For both what April and Thalia was talking about, being an advocate, and I think it was April, where you mentioned that when you go to your doctor, you know, make sure that make sure that they know that you're understanding, you know, what is going on with you, because what I've seen so far with the biases of Black patients, a lot of these physicians, they really don't necessarily want to be bothered with us because they already have in their mind that we're not educated, we don't take care of ourselves. So basically what I'm telling you is not going to matter. You have to really step up and say, listen, I need you to explain this to me. Be an advocate for yourself. And for us, whether you are either if you're a healthcare worker or not, be an advocate for your family. If they don't understand, then you step up and talk to their physicians and say, tell me what is going on so I can help take care of my loved one. And my mom, she's 88 years old. She's in Alabama. She's had a couple of doctor's appointments where she doesn't understand. So I'm on the phone or FaceTime the doctor or whatever it is, because I need to understand how to take care of my mom. So in this community, we have to be an advocate for each other and take care of each other in the community. So, but at the same time, you know, all of this is wrapped up into social injustice, racial injustice. We as a people, when it comes to the wealth versus poverty, we as a people, we don't have a lot of resources to us where we can pay for have really good insurance. And what I've seen is when us as a people, we go to the ER or something, if our insurance only allows us to say we have to go to a subacute facility and it only allows you to be there for 30 days, if you're not stable, they'll send you home. And then what happens is you get sick again, you're going back to the hospital, you're going back to the subacute rehab because you don't have good insurance, and it's a never ending cycle. So we really have to work on that in our community to help put things in place to make sure that our people are covered and we're getting the best treatment that we should get. So that's my take on that.
No, and that's really good. And it's good to know and it's good to hear, because sometimes people think that based on what our professional jobs may be or how we are in the community, that we don't feel, they'll feel like we're not. I'm pro-Black. I'm just like all of you. I love my people. I love my community. I love that. And truth be told, if this would do under here would do right, I'd be walking around with a fro, you know, like this, you know. We really have to. It doesn't matter how you know, what class, how the world says class in terms of your profession and what you do. The responsibility to first be a part of our own rescue, the responsibility first to take care of ourselves, it all lies within us. And so when we take care of ourselves and we pay attention to who we are and we know that we are all a piece of the puzzle, then when we come together as one, it'll give our voice more volume and we'll be able to do more things. Because yes, this world and this system has not been designed to see us excel. But if we come together and we start first by taking care of ourselves, by taking care and maintaining this body that God has given us, it will make us stronger. And then when we come together, there will be nothing that we will not be able to do, because those of us who have will be able to help. Not because this is not, James Brown sang a song long a time ago. We don't, I don't want nothing from, just open the door and let me do it myself. And I can't remember exactly how the song went. But he was just saying, I don't want y'all to do anything. It's not I'm looking for you to do anything. I just want you to open the door so that I can walk through just like you walk through.
Right.
And once I do that, I can do it myself. Because we all have the ability to be great. We all have the ability to excel. We all have the ability to walk in the purpose that we have been created to do in this earth. So we really have to start by understanding the power of self-love and understanding the importance of taking care of ourselves individually. Because then individually, when we get it together, number one, we can hear better, we can hear clearly, clarity comes. And then when I get with you, then you clear about who you are, I'm clear about who I am, and we don't have all these this blockage of issues, of insecurity, of I think you're gonna take from me, or you're not good enough, I'm not good enough. We're not dealing with all of those things that come to be a distraction. And that's what has happened to us over the years as a people, because there have been, in addition to society not wanting us to get there, we have allowed this whole I don't know what to call it, but this whole area of issues and insecurity and just so much to be there that we choose not to deal with. And for me, and I tell people this before the pandemic started, Jesus plus a good therapist will take you places. When you get, because we have stories. People have been molested, people have been abused, people have been told all their lives that they're not going to be anything. People have constantly failed at different things and they don't have people around them to cheer them on. We need to talk that through. We need to learn to better communicate with each other, men and women, sisters and sisters, where people, this thing is that black women can't get along and that we tear each other down. All of these lies that our foundation has been built upon. So we individually, we have to go and break down all the things. We got to tear it down so that we can create a foundation that will cause us to be able to stand in the midst of this. And then we can demand, just like we said with the healthcare, then we can demand that we have equal rights across the board. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I really, my message in this old time, the fact that we are still here, that we have to be a part of our own rescue first. And then when we build us up, because we can't expect anybody else to do and they create a platform. If I said to you ladies, LaShawn, April, and Thalia, I want you to come on and share tonight. If you didn't take time to do the work for yourself and to understand the power of your voice, when I brought you on here, you would be just sitting still looking at the camera, not without substance. So it's up to us to build up the gifts, the talents, and do, because God already qualified us to do everything that we're supposed to do. It's up to us to fine tune by building, by educating ourselves, by doing everything that we need to do to make sure that we are better. So when we do that internally, then it will be reflected on the outside. That when we come together as one, that LaShawn is not trying to outspeak Thalia, Thalia not trying to outspeak April, and everybody trying to outspeak because they want to be seen. It's not about being seen. It's about representing who we are, our ancestors, and how they fought, and the things that they did in order for us to be effective in this earth. So then when we come together, what we do is that we become Elizabeth and Mary. I'm pulling out your baby, you pulling out my baby. When we come together, our babies are jumping, and we just want to do so much and be so great in this world that we are so powerful. because the truth of the matter is we are so much better together. That's it. There's no way around it. We are so much better together. So that's it. And I want to again thank you ladies for just sharing those amazing things with us. And what I want you to do, viewers, while you all are still here and y'all still hanging out with us, I do have a slide of some information that these ladies have provided, information and resources. And I'm going to pull that slide up just for a moment. And when I pull it up, I want you to screenshot it because there are some organizations and some websites that are there that will help you on your journey in your process. We didn't just want to come here tonight to talk to you, but we also want to provide information and resources that you can use so that you can to be empowered. So I am going to remove the ladies from the screen just a moment. Don't go anywhere. And I'm going to pull up this form so that you all can see it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to screenshot it. Okay, here we go. Okay, I hope that you got an opportunity to screenshot that. I am going to post that on my Facebook page so that you all can see the information that is there. But I hope you took a moment to screenshot it so that you can have it and take advantage of some of these resources. All right, ladies, so as we wrap this up, what I want you to do, I want you to take 30 seconds and just to give your final, I don't like that, not your final, your departing words. And then I want you to tell people how they can stay connected to you because what I hope from this is that comes from this is that people see you and they invite you to join them on other platforms. And then if people have questions about anything or any information that has been said here today and they want to connect with you, I definitely want them to be able to do that first. So Thalia, go ahead and and give your departing words and let people know how they can get connected with you.
Well, I just want to say to the audience, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and join us tonight. Connection is important, even if it's virtually, to connect, to hear, and to be receptive, to learn. That's always a good thing because that's part of your growth and that's part of the fabric that connects us all together. The best way you can contact me, I guess, is through my Facebook. What is my Facebook name is my name. I'm sorry. But also, I do have a nonprofit that I do want to plug. I am the vice president of the Haitian American Nurses Association of Garden State. We are the first and only Haitian American nursing professional organization. I am the vice president. I feel that whatever you can be connected to, it'll be great because you being part and being there in the room gives us a presence. When I say I'm the only Black nurse in the room, I'm the only Black nurse in the room, and that matters. You know why? Because I'm giving the audience and my peers a different perspective, right? So being connected to professional organization is great. Volunteering, I love to volunteer because it's a connection to your community. You have to know what's going on and to be humble, to have sympathy and empathize for those who don't have as much as you. Hannah of Garden State is on Instagram, Hannah of Garden State, and also on Facebook. Marcella will be posting our bios, and there's other ways you can contact me. But I thank you guys for being a great audience, and I wish you guys well, and have a good night.
All right, LaShawn.
So my departing words for everyone, just like Thalia, thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing us to share our stories. And I just want to just remind you that, no matter what you're going through, just remember that there's always purpose from your pain. And just remember to always be an advocate. Be an advocate for yourself. Be an advocate for others and the people around you, your loved ones. And just remember just to stay safe and make sure that your voice is heard, because this is the racial injustice, not just, with police brutality. It's through healthcare. It's all around us. So just be the best voice that you can be and be heard. You can follow me. My name, Lushawn Colvin. I'm on Facebook. You can also email me. My email is LusharnO'Reilly@AOL.com. So that's my first name, Lusharn, OREILLY. That's all one word at AOL.com. And also, like a couple of months ago, I was asked to be on a podcast by my best friend, Dr. Sabrina Walthall, who is a professor at Mercer University, and she has her own podcast called the STEM Lab. So it was very successful. So now Sabrina wants me to come on her podcast on a more regular basis, where I'll be talking more about mental health issues and any other medical topics that she's going to have. So I will be on there more often. So you can actually follow me on her podcast at the STEM Lab. If you can go on Instagram, so it's at DA STEM Lab. So just, follow her podcast. I will be on there probably, more often now with giving me my tips medically and from a nursing perspective.
Awesome. April?
All righty. So I would just like to tell everyone, just continue to stay safe in this time, in this pandemic. We all have a new a new normal, and you just kind of go with the flow, and while still trying to remain as safe as possible and keeping your loved ones safe also. In order to get in touch with me, Facebook, my name, April Rodgers. I also have a Facebook page, Hope, HOPE. It's a women's health organization that I started a while ago. I haven't done much with it lately, but I'm going to do something very, very soon. And that's Health, Our Precious Entity, helping women live healthier lifestyles, especially geared towards African-American women, but all women. And what else? My email address is healthyhopefulyou, just the letter U after hopeful, @gmail.com. Healthyhopefulyou @gmail.com. Thank you. Thanks, Marcella, for pushing me.
I am so glad that you ladies are here. That I'm just trying to type in these your connections while we're here, and that's what I'm going to do. So again, everyone, thank you all so much. And what I am doing is also I'm posting a link if you want to join, if you want to stay connected with us and join our mailing list. I am posting the link for you to be able to do that. When you join our mailing list, you'll get all the emails concerning upcoming shows, because this is something that I will be doing often and just bringing voices to you. We will be back here on Monday, June 22nd. We'll be here with possibly three Black brothers. One is an attorney. The other is James G. He works for Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. And then a young man, Ashton Burrell, who's very active in his community. And we will be having the conversation, The Gift of Being Black in America. And we will be back here at 6:30 p.m. on Monday. So I do invite you all to join us for that. The flyer will go out. The link to register will be there as well. And again, this platform has been designed to give you information and resources that will empower you to live a more productive life, especially in this during this pandemic and at this time of racial injustice in America. So we just want you to be encouraged. We want to inspire you. We want to remind you that, look, you are still here. And that means so much. You are a change agent in the earth. You have a gift. Someone is in need of you. And just like you heard the stories of these women here tonight, they've gone through some stuff, but guess what? They are still here in the midst of the tears, the disappointment, the uncertainty. They are still here. And who knows, as you continue to walk through your process, you may be one of the pictures up on my screen in the days to come. So we just want to encourage you all. Thank you all so much. And I just want to make a plug. Everyone has said something about my background here. When I started out, I did not have this beautiful, beautiful background. And I want to thank Miller Design for they designed this. And before we go, I am going to put up their contact information. So if you do these lives like this, if you do Zooms and you just want a breathtaking, beautiful background, just like I have here. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it
Yes,
beautiful?
it is.
They can do the same thing for you. They supported me, and I'm so grateful because I take pleasure and joy now of showing myself based on this beautiful background that I have. So, Miller Design, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for helping us to look at taking us up a level. Because she just literally took me up a level when they took me up a level when they added this background for me. So they can do stuff. They can do it through Zoom. You don't have to be there. I know we're still in this physical distancing because that's how we going down from now. Thank you so much, Thalia, because words are everything.
Yes.
We're doing this
Be
physical.
conscious about your word. Always be conscious about your word, okay?
Exactly. So even in physical distancing, Miller Design can also help you create a background that speaks to who you are, especially all of you beautiful people who are getting ready, because virtual platform is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And before you know it, when you all get in purpose, you are going to find your faces on platforms across the world. So get ready, prepare yourself, and know that great things are coming. So, ladies, once again, I salute you for being essential workers during this time. I salute you for not giving up. I salute you for being wonderful daughters to your amazing mothers and fathers. And I just know that God is going to bless you. We love you all. We thank God for you. You just really blessed us tonight. I know that I have been. And when I do these, I come to get information as well. So I'm mindful of everything that has taken place. We're going to do this again. So y'all get ready. I don't know when, but we're going to do this again because we want to remind people that they have a voice with their health care. And the more that they hear it, they'll be reminded when they go to the doctor now because like you all said, they got us on the list. High blood pressure, diabetes, they got us on the list. So, boom, 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 you just on the list. So we're gonna start, giving you the drugs, you on the list. So we're going to help to empower our community by helping them be wise about their health care. You all are not doctors, but you're the closest thing to them. So we are so grateful for you all tonight. Thank you once again. I appreciate you. And audience, those of you who are still here and those of you who are watching the replay, please take a moment and to let these women know, these nurses, because they shared their hearts for nurses' point of view, and let them know that you appreciated the content, that you appreciated the stories, and that you are so grateful for the tips and the information that they shared with us tonight. So once again, thank you so much. I am Marcella D. Moore, and it is a delight to serve you in these platforms. And I look forward to seeing you again on Monday, June 22nd, as we do this again. So before we go, again, I'm going to pop up the contact information for Miller Design so that you can see that now. And we are getting ready to do that. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate you and have an amazing night. But don't go, y'all. I want y'all to see the design, the information for Miller Designs before we go. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful night. Thank you once again for being here. Come back and join us again on Monday, June 22nd, as we discuss being a gift in America, being Black and being a gift in America. Thank you all. Have an amazing night.